I'm just curious as to what you think the impediments are to scale. I was interested by the Mexican example that sounds like it's the innovation is driven by a policy innovation, and really that needs to be replicated around the world for the follow through and for getting that level of data and analytics replicated into other markets. So I guess the question is, from the game-changing innovations that you see, they're often, not joined up thinking when we're looking at it from a replication and a sort of maximum impact perspective. Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Nadeem, do you want to say that?
I think financial services is a complicated business, right? And so it's important that we don't confuse it with Silicon Valley and tech investments. And this is a 10, 15, 20-year play. It requires the right kind of policies, regulatory policies, economic policies, the right kind of capital being available to fund these businesses through the various stages, right? Plenty of people want to fund people when they all have revenue and so on, but very few people at the early stage of an idea and kind of be able to sustain that. A market, consumer demand, consumer needs, consumer kind of desire to try new things. All those things are important and it takes time. So I think we should take this, and we certainly at Anthem look at this as a 10, 15-year investment horizons when we invest in this area. Of course, clearly some things come earlier, but that's how you need to think about it.
But I think we clearly have work to do to educate the regulators and the policymakers and the innovators that are sitting in these countries. This is all moving so fast. There's so much innovation happening, and I don't know that they've kept up or that we've helped them keep up.
So if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing in terms of regulation and policy, what would it be?
Oh boy, for me, I'd be looking at the rights for women and access to financial services, but that's obviously coming from my perspective. There's still over 100 countries where there are laws on the books that keep women from participating economically, not being able to get a business loan without their, as I said, husband's signature, or what happens, not being able to get an account until you're 18, those kinds of things. And all the other things around that. So for me, that would be a piece of it, but also helping them. I mean, I'm an investor in a company called Apolitical, which is about connecting up public sector innovators so that they can learn faster and they can share each other's policy innovations and they can help each other get their innovations across the planet much more quickly. And I think we've really underinvested in that part. So I think as we're all excited about figuring out the right business models and figuring out how to reach markets and product market fit and finding the best management teams, we need someone also to really make sure that as these decisions are getting made around the regulatory side, that they're well informed.
Jonathan, what about you?
So we're seeing, first of all, we see that central banks and regulators in most of our markets speaking the language of financial inclusion, but they're all kind of going at different speeds. But I agree with Nadeem that this is it's a complicated space, and we look for entrepreneurs that are able to dialogue with and to engage with the regulatory authorities. In fact, in most of our markets, our CEOs are part of or are leading or helped found fintech and alternative lending associations that are actively engaged with the regulators to adapt and to create frameworks that are going to be favorable to the growth of those industries. So it's what I find encouraging is that in all of our markets, the regulators really are engaging and thinking about this and are open. But yes, there are some countries that are doing a much better job of that. Others that are farther behind. But there's clearly a recognition that it's no longer about just engaging with the banks or with the incumbent payment systems, but that they need to be thinking about how to engage with this raft of new players, which creates tons of opportunity for their markets, and they need to figure it out. But they're risk averse, right? So that's a tension.
But we also have to be paying attention to data privacy, protection, who owns your data, I mean, the thing that I worry about also is, now that people are using data so intelligently, again, thinking about women, right? Are they going to benefit from who is using their data? And are they going to understand who has access to what and how it's being used? And are there unintended potential negative consequences that we're not paying attention to? And how do we think about privacy, security, the sort of solidness? I mean, the good news is there's so much innovation, and the challenge is, again, you're a person who maybe, not always, but maybe you have less education, and how are you sorting through these different things? So I think it's got both sides. We want them to understand how and help us go as fast as we can, but also obviously play the role of protection.
Yeah, so it's not just about innovation in technology and business models, it's also about innovation in regulation and policy as well.